But in terms of the timeline, we now know this comic takes place at least after September 11th, 2001, meaning we're definitely in Justice League time at the earliest. There's still so much to be uncovered, but this is a much stronger link than we've yet to have. Oh, God, it was only a dream. Wait, what day is it? The animated Batman of yesteryear is back once again in the newest chapter of The Adventures Continue, the finale to the Mentors story arc. If you haven't caught our videos on the first 5 chapters, be sure to check those out at the little tab thing up there in the corner. A whole playlist of our BTAC videos. It's understandable if you missed the last couple. They came out on Wednesdays. Ain't doing that anymore. Thanks, Algorithm Beast. You really screwed the pooch on that one. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell so that you always know when we post new videos, no matter what. And the like button wouldn't hurt neither. As always, we'll be going through the new issue using page numbers from Comixology, all the while breaking each and every inch of the thing down to all the Easter eggs, timeline clues, and general points of interest. So also, as always, let's start off with Correction Speedrun! Stuff we messed up last time. It turns out the physical issues don't actually have title pages at all. We go now to our title card correspondent in the field, Mr. Ted Kendrick. Ted?
See the title card? It's not here.
Thanks, Ted. Wait, is that it? Surely we messed up something else. Weird, I guess not. Page 2. This is the first time the title page's imagery is not from the story that follows it. In fact, they stole this art right from last video's thumbnail. But yeah, this is from last issue, the Batman v Superman poster moment. Page 3. Slade finishes up his Zoom meeting with Lex Luthor, whose "don't disappoint" line reminds me of another shadowy cartoon bad guy.
Don't disappoint me again.
Their webcam chat console also reminds me of those big video phone kiosks from Pokemon, and this one even has a big Pokeball for a control panel. There was also some DCAU show called the Zeta Project or something that had video phones, but whatever. And Slade, with the firefly head in his hand, has a very Hamlet vibe to it. To fee or not to fee? Page 4. We saw this page's rough pencils on Ty Templeton's Instagram a couple months back, which he referred to as the single most iconic Wayne Manor sequence I've ever drawn. We originally assumed this would maybe be a flashback to Jason Todd's early days with Bruce, but now that we know it's a present day scene with Tim Drake, what's so iconic about it? All I can guess is that it is a rather classic Wayne Manor setting. Bruce's super long dining table where a decent amount of memorable moments have happened from various Bat universes. Michael Keaton and Kim Basinger in the 1989 Batman movie, Bruce and Samantha in Batman vs. Robin, and of course the "hey, guess what, dude, Bruce isn't gonna have dinner with you for the 40th night in a row" flashback scene from the Batman the Animated Series episode Robin's Reckoning. There's a James Bond film that has been out a while. The Bond films that best fit the era would be Tomorrow Never Dies, though this came out in 1997 before Tim became Robin. The World Is Not Enough, which came out in 1999 during the new Batman adventures in-universe, and Die Another Day, which came out in 2002 amid season 2 of Justice League in-universe, when we've established this comic likely takes place. We could push it and say it might be Casino Royale, released in 2006, as that still comes before the Return of the Joker flashback, aka the cutoff for Tim being Robin, but it's not as likely. Our biggest James Bond connection in the animated universe before this was merely an acting credit. King from Batman Beyond's Royal Flush Gang was voiced by George Lazenby, who played 007 one single time in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which also contained one of many appearances of the classic Bond villain Blofeld, portrayed in this film by Telly Savalas, who would serve as the visual inspiration for the DCAU's Lex Luthor. Speaking of Return of the Joker, though, Tim referring to Robin as a separate identity is interesting based on where his character will develop as he gets older.
Capes, costumes, playing hero, it was kid stuff.
And hey, he passed geometry!
Oh, this is so frustrating, I feel geometry!
The bat signal looks a little closer to the TNBA bat symbol than usual, as it stayed BTAS shaped despite the animation changeover, except for in Batman Adventures Volume 2. And Alfred has more age marks than normal on this page in particular, similar to his look from that comic, but he's still rocking the black mustache.
Maybe Alfred dyes his mustache.
Page 5! Our second T-pose of the comic run, or the third. Who can keep it all straight? Looks like Slade used his bee-punching superpower to take out Gordon and the other cops, and perhaps to punch the bat signal back into its original shape. Page 6! Slade's motorcycle is basically a bat cycle without the bat parts. Maybe that's why he felt so comfortable napping on one a couple issues ago.
Me to my bitches when I'm 6 drinks in and see a hunk across the bar.
Dead or alive, he goes home with me.
We get a glimpse of a clock tower, most likely a revamped design for the one we saw in the BTAS episode The Clock King, which also was alluded to to on the map of Gotham City in Chapter 1. And this center panel overall has a very Gotham by Gaslight vibe to it, with the background buildings, steamy sky, and Batman's flowing cape stance on the rooftop. Though to be fair, Batman standing on roofs is a pretty common sight. In fact, the local newspaper in my childhood hometown once ran a blurb about how a certain 10-ish-year-old Bat fan thought that an air duct on top of some building looked like Batman. Yep, that was apparently newsworthy. I wish I could find that paper. If anyone out there has copies of the Daily Astorian circa 2001, let me know. Page 7! We see the exterior and library of Gotham University. In Batman the Animated Series, this was the college that Barbara Gordon and Dick Grayson attended, though there's been some times where it's seen as Gotham State University, so it's kind of unclear whether this is the same school or two different schools. In this comic, Barbara is no longer attending, but working as a librarian, something the character was known for in the Silver Age, and in Alan Moore's The Killing Joke, which was expanded upon in Bruce Timm's animated adaptation. Though we can assume this is part-time alongside her work in police headquarters that we see occasionally in the new Batman adventures, it does line up with her official TNBA biography that states she's already graduated college. Despite being shown in The Batman Adventures number 26 to be taking a criminology class with Dick, her TNBA bio states she graduated with a degree in computer science, so I guess that was just an elective or something? We know she's back in college by the time of Mystery of the Batwoman, which decidedly takes place after Justice League Unlimited. Check out our timeline video for more on that. This second college degree may very well be something criminology-based that leads to her eventual replacement of her father as police commissioner by the time of Batman Beyond. The kids in the background here look like they're about to be accosted by the Terminator.
Hey, I think this guy's a couple cans short of a six-pack.
You're close. Give them to me.
And the Historical Society book Barbara is rifling through, which we find out later has a section on Old Gotham, another area hinted at on the Chapter 1 map, could very well contain information on the Wayne and Arkham families and or the Order of St. Dumas. Aspects of Gotham City history we saw come into play recently in the Batman Curse of the White Knight comic series, the Order of St. Dumas typically playing into Azrael's origin, who we know will be showing up soon in the Adventures Continue. Something tells me there's something else about this page that I'm forgetting. Weird. Oh well.
Watch the Fox Kids TV Takeover Thanksgiving weekend on Fox.
Oh, hi. I'm here today where I normally do Twitch streams to celebrate our 3 newest Patreon supporters. Say, do, Zenith, VM. And we got, oh my god, how do you say that? Wooly. Thank you so much for becoming new patrons. If you also want to be a patron, let's see, http patreon.com DCAU Watchtower. You go over there, you're like, whoa, this place looks cool. I would love to give them money. Look how happy he is. Have you ever seen Batman this happy? Good job, Robin. And you're Robin in this scenario. Batman doesn't have a mustache. He grew a mustache just for you because you went to patreon.com/DCAU Watchtower to support this wonderful YouTube channel. And of course we have to thank the people that always give us money for some reason. We got Dark Poet 1792, we got Aaron Young, Cameo, Shadownet, Daniel Chan, David Gallagher, oh god, her, Luke Mears, Roberto Sterlinga, Richard Montwell, and Mac. Thank you so much to all of these people. This is a mess. If you're interested in this weird Watchtower thing that I'm inside of, come check us out on Twitch Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at noon Pacific time. This is a double advertisement, and it's over now because this is way too long.
Time for The Dark Knight, Batman the Animated Series on Fox 32.
Page 8. Well, now we know Jason Todd is a Star Wars fan.
It's a trap!
Page 9. This bomb is clearly designed by the Condiment King, and the tri-state area mentioned by Slade likely refers to a region of the United States that includes New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, since we know DCAU Gotham is in the state of New York. I keep saying this, and you keep commenting to tell me it's in New Jersey. I know it is in the comics, but it's not in the cartoon. How many times do I have to show you these screenshots? But actually do keep commenting because the Sarah Stone Bulldog is getting hungry again and I'm all out of giant dog treats. And here we have yet another instance of Batman avoiding Omega Beams. Page 10. These damn innards are sort of reminiscent of both the Ace Chemical plant where the Joker became the Joker and the place where Harvey No. And if Batman says Firefly's voice sounds the same as expected, since we know it's actually Sunny inside the costume, does that mean Slade has access to voice synthesis technology? That shouldn't be around for another couple decades. Or maybe Superman is also inside the Firefly suit. Page 11. According to Superman and Batman magazine number 8, Batman is 6 feet 2 inches tall, and by the Justice League episode Wild Cards, he's 6'3". It's because the ears are longer. If 3-inch boots puts the real Firefly above Batman's height, then Firefly is between 6 feet and 6'3".
Congratulations! Congratulations! Congratulations!
Page 12. Cool. Page 13. We finally get to see Slade's Hephaestus sword in action. Shoo! Oh. God bless you. Batman avoids another Omega Beam, and we get some more Kirby Crackle representing the energy around the sword, as well as back on page 10 for the Firefly fire. I'm not gonna talk about the Batarangs, it's whatever at this point. Let it be known, I will never talk about the Batarang shapes ever again. There is no way this statement can come back to haunt me. Page 14! Batman getting hit in the back by the sword beam is very similar to the panel from chapter 1 of basically the same thing from Luthor, but the sword itself isn't ever referred to as the God Killer like we talked about last time, just a Hephaestus sword. It does share some visual similarities to lightsabers though, which isn't uncommon for sci-fi weaponry, especially in this universe. Page 15, per last page, Batman's cape is basically beyond repair here. I swear to Rao, if they use this to set up the Justice League batsuit. Slade monologues his bad guy plans to Batman, which include framing Firefly for Batman's murder by fire, a similar setup to Superman's false incrimination in Batman v Superman. The real Firefly is even revealed to be still alive, though in terrible shape, and in hiding with Cobra. And Slade's I have a way with young people is certainly referring to Sunny, but could also be in reference to his comic book history with Terra, his son Ravager, his other son Jericho, or even the Teen Titans in general. Batman also has a way with young people, but we're not going to get into that. Page 16. Slade's master plan of getting rid of Batman and taking his place is sort of similar to Ra's al Ghul's body snatching scheme in Batman Beyond's Out of the Past, and the Avenging Angel terminology is almost certainly more Azrael foreshadowing. But with Slade saying he'll take over Batman's entire enterprise, is he coyly speaking about Wayne Enterprises? Does Deathstroke know Batman's secret identity? Oh, and Yakety Yak, even though it's spelled wrong here, is a song by the Coasters from 1958, which was also performed on the Tiny Toons cartoon, the season 3 episode Toon TV from 1992, the same year Batman the Animated Series debuted on Fox Kids. Paul Dini, co-writer of this comic, worked on Tiny Toons for a few years before moving on to the Batman show. I actually had a Tiny Toons music cassette tape as a kid that had this Yakety Yak song on it. Comment below if you also had this tape. Oh. No comments. Page 17. Robin mentions the Joker, who's been rumored to appear later in this series. Though we know Tim and Joker have quite the grand old time not too long from now, the only interactions we've seen the two characters have in the DCAU prior to that are the TNBA episode Holiday Nights and a handful of issues of the Gotham Adventures spin-off comic. The phrase "heads will roll" dates back to decapitations via guillotine, though it's unclear if it originates from the French Revolution or the Tudor period in England. And it looks like lack of inking gave us a sort of halfway between costume for Batgirl here, with the grays of her BTAS look. I can't not focus on costume weirdness, okay? Give me a break. Page 18.
Leave him alone. And get off my property. You're trespassing.
Page 19. Batgirl made it into this explosion panel. Page 20. We get another caption box for Deathstroke, strangely the only one in this chapter, though it won't feel as out of place when the chapters are combined for the physical release. And Slade's defeat here is pretty anticlimactic, I gotta say, especially when compared to some of the fights we've seen between him and Batman in other mediums. But I'll reserve judgment until this comic run is over. Who knows if he'll appear again? They did add an extra issue into the lineup. ... Page 21, mate. On the penultimate, you know what that means, page, we've got Alfred quoting Monty Python.
"'Tis but a scratch."
And Robin mentions playing possum, which of course doesn't mean anything, but we're gonna read into every pixel, so it could be a reference to the DC character The Possum, a guy Slade was sent to assassinate in issue number 1 of that same Deathstroke comic I mentioned last video, the one that included him wielding the God Killer.
Coincidence? I think not!
Page 22! Yeah. This last page only has 3 panels, but a lot to talk about. First off, the sky is the reddest we've seen so far. Even the moon is red. Oh, luminous up to your old tricks. Maddie thinks this could be foreshadowing for the Batman Who Laughs, because something something red skies crisis multiverse bleed something something, but I'm not entirely convinced, so count down to this being accurate and Maddie rubbing it in my face for the rest of time. Jason Todd is seen sitting on a gargoyle, which may or may not be in reference to the Red Hood and the Outlaws comic from 2017, where we see a flashback to Jason's days as Robin, his best friend and confidant being a specific Gotham City gargoyle. Cat and mouse game is an interesting phrase to use, considering we know Catwoman is going to be making an appearance likely next issue. And it's also more or less the title of one of the episodes of the Gotham Girls animated web series from 2001, where Catwoman gets caught in a time loop. But if she's the cat, who's the mouse?
I'm the pack rat.
The question is, what does he want? The question is, I thought only Darkseid is. Is this more foreshadowing for a Question appearance? GCPD Detective Renee Montoya became the second Question in the comics after all, and she's nowhere to be seen by the time of Mystery of the Batwoman. But what does the Question want? I think we all know.
Orange socks.
The Wrath of Azrael is a 2003 mystery novel by Richard Frady, and also pretty close to the name of a Gotham episode. Batman hypothesizes that Jason knows everything that's going on, even what our opponents are doing. And while he's not technically wrong, Jason only knows about Slade and his plans because he's been tracking him. He even warned Batgirl in this issue, which continues to muddy the waters of just what his intentions are. We've theorized in earlier videos that he may be from an alternate universe where the DCAU Robin history played out a little bit differently, and him knowing all the secrets of the Bat family may lend more to that line of thinking. And finally, it's worth noting that the Bat computer on this and the last page, as well as every time we've seen it in this comic so far, is the design from the new Batman adventures. While we've managed to deduce that this series is taking place during season 2 of Justice League, a show in which we've seen the Bat computer already looks like it does in Batman Beyond. This isn't the first time this contradiction has surfaced, like whenever we see the Batcave in Static Shock or the Batwoman movie. Oh, there's that pain again. I've missed something in this issue. No. Tim hasn't even been Robin for 1 year yet?
Watch Batman the Animated Series tomorrow afternoon on Fox.
Be sure to tune in tomorrow morning for Beetlejuice.
Fart nuggets. Well, here we go. As you probably know, in 1998, DC Comics published a comic miniseries called Batman Adventures: The Lost Years. This short run bridged the gap between Batman the Animated Series and the new Batman Adventures, filling in the gaps we never saw. Like Dick Grayson's transition from Robin to Nightwing, Batgirl becoming a full-fledged crime-fighting partner to Batman, and of course, Tim Drake becoming the next Robin. We know from a banner in Dick's graduation ceremony that this scene happens in 1997, and by the end of the comic, when Tim is the new Robin, we're bare minimum 850 days later. I say minimum because that's the time marker we see at the start of the final issue, before Dick has an adventure in the mountains, returns to Gotham, presumably brings a stolen statue back to the mountains, and then goes back to Gotham again, before showing up in this memorable scene we see at the end of Sins of the Father. But still, regardless, we're at least in May of 1999 here, when Tim first puts on the Robin costume. You can check out our Vanishing Point episode on the Lost Years for more details. So, if Tim has only been Robin for almost 1 year, then the Adventures Continue is likely taking place around May of 2000. This series has been alluded to being Dini and Burnett's what we would have done if we'd been able to do another new Batman Adventures season from the beginning. And while we haven't nailed down a for sure timeline placement for the entirety of TNBA yet, we know from dates seen on a computer screen that the episode You Scratch My Back takes place in May 2000 as well. So unless this is the furthest out episode of that cartoon, we may still be technically inside the new Batman Adventures. But Slade made a 9/11 reference last issue. That was 2001! Or was it? It's possible that the DCAU's 9/11 occurred earlier than our own. Yeah, I know, it's a tough topic. I even said last video that I doubt the creative team would alter anything about that event due to sensitivity. But once you lay out all the pieces of the puzzle, were 9/11 to have actually occurred in, say, 1999, things start to make a little more sense. For one, there'd be no Justice League yet, as the team doesn't form until late 2000. Maybe Superman was preoccupied, I don't know. But there's more. World history has always played out a little differently in the animated universe than in the real world. Even events like Hawk people attempting global takeover, or warring gangs being bombed with superpower-inducing gas aside, you know, things we probably would have heard about. We've got little differences here and there, like Karl Malone playing for the Lakers a couple years earlier than he did in real life, or like the existence of everyone's favorite 60s sci-fi classic, Star Trek. And I don't remember an immortal spiky goatee dude trying to do a big catastrophic thing in 2009. We also know, per our research in our Justice League Unlimited timeline video, that Lex Luthor was running for the 2004 presidential election against at least this guy, the current president, who we've managed to deduce is not George W. Bush, the president-elect in the real world's 2000. It's possible, and yes, this is just a theory, a DCAU theory, that Bush perhaps wasn't elected in 2000 due to 9/11 having already happened, and the country being unable to take him seriously.
I know the human being and fish can coexist peacefully.
Keep your politics out of my DCAU video. But regardless of who the president was or wasn't at the time, the planet's makeup is already far different in the DCAU than in the real world, with fictional countries like Kaznia, Chiang Mai, Kondak, and many others. With all these new places, is the geography of the Middle East even the same as the real world? How would the history of the region differ? For example, there were Babylonian artifacts at the Lex Luthor Museum of Natural History in the Superman episode A Little Piece of Home. Babylonia being a kingdom in ancient Mesopotamia, a region of Asia that would eventually evolve into what we know today as Iraq. But who's to say it did the same in Batman cartoon world? Maybe it became Bialia or Kurak or any number of other made-up Middle Eastern countries. The politics surrounding 9/11 would be vastly different in this world no matter what. Not the least of which would include mass surveillance in the US, likely helping to form or at least solidify groups like Argus and Cadmus, which would rise to prominence by the early 2000s. It's a big pile of unknowns for sure, but it all adds up to this. 9/11 wouldn't have happened the same way in the DCAU, even if it did happen on the exact same day as in real life. So pushing it back to 1999, or even earlier, isn't even probably the most heinous difference. It does make things a little odd for Static Shock, where we get a reference to the term Y2K, which was broadly based around the idea that the stock market would hardcore crash due to unforeseen computer error. And in a world where the Twin Towers have already fallen, it's a little weird, but it doesn't mess anything up too bad. All this is to say, because of Robin's superheroic tenure, we can't actually be during Justice League Season 2 after all. Why does this keep happening to us? Can you show us those dates you're stamping at the library, Barbara? It means the Superman vs. Brainiac Battle on the Far Side of the Moon, referenced in Chapter 1 and 2, still could be the Superman episode Nighttime. Lex's exosuit is back to being a prototype, and as a side note, if Batman is correct about Sunny's age, we now know she was born around 1980. This also means that not only do Firefly's 2 Batman episodes have to take place sometime in 1999, the calendar year prior to this series, as explained by Slade, which would be before the TNBA debut episode Holiday Nights, but that he must survive this series in order to appear in Justice League's Only a Dream and the Batman Adventures Volume 2 comic. So now my one Christmas wish, Mr. Dini, is this. Don't kill Firefly. Please don't kill Firefly. It will mess everything up. Please, baby Jesus. Conclusion! Where the hell is Nightwing? Is he gonna show up when Jason finally becomes a relevant part of the story? I assume Jason's arc will be the Adventures Continue finale, so I can wait a bit longer, I guess. With the Lex Luthor plot left dangling, will we see him again? Maybe he's involved with Cobra somehow. Didn't expect to see him this time, so... Did LexCorp buy out the Farmer Brown company after the Browns were arrested? Like, he provided the getaway van? Either that or Slade won it at a police auction, or... Wait, maybe Sunny is the long-lost second daughter of Farmer Brown. She inherited the company. Sunny Brown. Sounds hick enough. Where did Slade and Sunny wind up? Sent to Stonegate? Taken into federal custody? The latter feels better, if only because we never see them in the DCAU again. Well, until the Paul Dini follow-up comic that takes place between Batman and Harley Quinn in the final season of Justice League Unlimited, where we learn that Hurricane Katrina actually took place in the 1970s. Next issue will finally bring Azrael into the animated universe, with a pretty damn shway cover drawn by James Herron. Great name. Hopefully he isn't that big. I hope he is. Could Azrael be using Slade's sword here? It was called attention to multiple times, and it's not even the Hephaestus sword, but a Hephaestus sword, meaning there could be others out there. The solicitation refers to someone being on the hunt for the resurrection powers of the Shawl of Madeline, which doesn't seem to be anything pre-existing in DC Comics. Could it be based around Saint Madeline of the Catholic Church, the same church tied to the Order of Saint Dumas? Could it be the knitting pattern known as a Madeline shawl? If it has powers of resurrection, has Cobra sent Azrael to Gotham in order to find the shawl to revive Firefly? These and more more questions potentially answered in the next installment of the Watchtower Database desperately tries to unravel Batman the Adventures Continue. Thank you so very much to everyone who supports us over on patreon.com/DCAU Watchtower. Head on over there to check out all the cool rewards you can get for helping keep this channel afloat. And hey, if you're looking for something to fill the new Batman the Animated Series content void between all of our BTAC videos, we recently got a hold of a big ol' stack of issues of I Love to Read Batman and Superman, a magazine published in the mid-90s that was only available in the UK, and actually has a bunch of stories that were seemingly never printed anywhere else. Maddie has been posting scans of these pretty regularly over on the message board formerly known as Toon Zone, Anime Superhero, linked below. And down there in the description, you'll also find links to our merch store, Twitch, social media, other cool DCAU videos to watch, and whatever else I decided to put down there this time. Just to reiterate, we're moving these breakdowns back to Sundays, but it won't be the Sunday right after the issue release, it'll be the next one. DC don't give me enough time to do them. But yeah, videos on Sunday. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Be there, be there, be there. Hit subscribe now, or Slade will replace you and steal your family. Bye!